Got a letter from my credit card company the other day, and it said, "Congratulations, we have increased your credit limit. Congratulations, you now can charge up even more money than you could before." You know, it's kind of funny. Those kinds of congratulations are sort of interesting, aren't they? Because I've got now a couple credit cards, and if I were to decide that I just wanted to just go crazy and spend them all up as far as possible, I would never, ever get myself out of debt. I mean, when you think about it, what I owe for the house, what I owe for the car, you know, those things are kind of standard, I guess. You know, if you're going to buy a car, if you're going to buy a house, you're ready for those kinds of debts. But boy, credit card debt, it can be a killer. And I remember the first time I got a credit card, it was kind of like free money, right? And then you realize, oh, if I keep paying the minimum payment, they're going to own me forever. And that's what I thought of when I got that letter from the credit card company. Congratulations, you can go into major debt with us. That's how much we care about you. And I don't know, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how oftentimes we can get ourselves really into a bind because of that kind of debt. We do it. We buy things in order to make us happy. We buy things in order to experience things that we enjoy, and that's good. That's good. But it also can become such a burden, and such a difficult thing for us that many of you maybe even are being challenged right now by that kind of debt. Well, here's what got me to thinking about it. It wasn't that I wanted to kind of lecture us on whether or not we should or shouldn't get into debt, but it was interesting. I was reading in the letter that Paul wrote to the church in Rome, and he was dealing with all kinds of issues that the Christians in Rome were trying to deal with in terms of how they fit in or don't fit into their culture, and really Paul is trying to tell them where Christ impacts their life, and what it's kind of been talked about as Paul's theology of Jesus, really his theology that drives his life that he presents there in the letter to Rome. But he also then deals with some other things that perhaps these Christians who are in Rome are dealing with. And one of the things he talks about in chapter 13 is this idea of being subject to authorities, listening to the governing authorities. Now, he's not talking about sell out to the governing authorities, but he's talking about not challenging them to the place where they are going to get themselves into trouble. And so one of the things that he talks about is the paying of taxes, and how it's important for us to do our part and to pay what is our fair share in taxes. And so he talks about that a little bit, and that would be an interesting topic to get into. Maybe if I do a devotional around April 15th, we can talk about that. But what really attracted me was this. Right after he's just talking about the relationships that we have with governing authorities and this idea of taxes, he says this. He says, "Owe no one anything except to love one another, for the one who loves another has fulfilled the law." It's interesting. It's almost as if Paul is talking about money. He's talking about how they are using their money, how they see themselves connected or not connected with the governing authorities. But then it's almost like he just can't help himself as he's talking about owing. He's talking about being indebted. He then realizes, you know what? If you're going to get yourself indebted to the way in which you love one another. Think about that. Have you ever sat down to write bills and you go, man, I just owe so much? And then you begin to look at what others bring in your life, and then you think, oh, I just owe so much. There is so much joy, so much gratitude, so much love that I owe for this person. Paul says if you want to get in debt, see love as a debt, because those people that loved you, the God who loves you, imagine yourself never being able to get out of that debt. But it's a joyful debt because it's something that brings us true joy. It's an everlasting joy. This idea of love, the love of God that we find in Jesus Christ, is the everlasting joy. It's not like those things we can buy. It's not like those places that we can go using our credit card. It is something that goes well beyond that. Owe no one anything except for the love you owe them because of how much you care for them, and the love you owe God because of how much you know God loves you. Yeah, that's a debt that perhaps we all need to incur.